I just turned 30 yesterday, and with being 30, I've now completed my 20s, and I've learned a thing or two. Hi friends, welcome to today's video. My name is Dane. I'm a traveler from the UK. I've been living and traveling Australia for the last few years. I document my travels on YouTube and share with you my real life raw experiences. I've been traveling since 2018 on my first backpacking trip to Thailand, which was a absolute show compared to the way I would travel now. So I thought I'd make this video to share with you lessons I learned in my 20s as a traveler. So different kind of video, let's just get into it. I've made a little list here on my laptop because as I started to write things that I've learned, it just kept coming and I'm like, oh my God, I've learned so much throughout my travels in my 20s, and I definitely am going to be implementing a few changes as I go into my 30s. And as I'm a mature adult, I'm 30 now, no messing around. I have to take things seriously. So what have I put on the list? Number one, the world is safer than you think. I remember when I first started traveling and people would always say to me, oh my God, why would you go there? It's dangerous. And these people had never even been to that country. They would see articles in the news on these countries and like, you can absolutely not go there, it's not safe. Countries like that include Mexico, Thailand, Vietnam, Jordan. I've been to these places and I have had nothing but positive experiences. If anything, this sounds really messed up and it's probably because I have the most experience living in this country, but out of all the countries in the world, I feel most unsafe in the UK. And that's for numerous reasons, which I won't get into this video. That's just how I feel personally in terms of safety. I just don't feel safe in the UK. I feel very safe in Australia. The world is safer than you think, and people are very kind. So the next time someone tells you, don't go there, it's dangerous, ask them, have you been there yourself? Have you experienced this? Because 9 times out of 10, they probably haven't. One of the most important things that I've learned in my 20s is the value in having great travel insurance. Which brings me on to the partner of today's video, Safety Wing. Being a nomad and traveling long term definitely comes with its ups and downs, and that's why it's so important to have travel insurance. You never know what's going to happen, and that's why I've been a customer of Safety Wing since I left the UK. But don't just take my word for it. There are plenty of amazing 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. Like Judy, who got insured for her trip to Morocco. Good choice, Judy. What I love about Safety Wing is it covers me for global travel. It works on a monthly subscription basis and there is 0 deductible, which means if I get in an accident or require medical assistance on the road, Safety Wing has got my back. I'll leave a link down below in the description so you can find out more about Safety Wing's Nomad Insurance. Now, let's get back to the other things that I learned in my 20s. Spontaneity can be interesting, but also dangerous. I've had many experiences where I have just agreed to go along with plans and not found out the finer details of those plans. Now, I'm sure there's many stories that I can share with you down the road. One thing that I've learned is know the details. If you're going on trips with people, find out where exactly are we going? What are we going to be doing? How much is this going to cost me? So many times it's happened to me where I've put myself in really dangerous situations, and it's because I didn't do a bit of background check. I didn't do the vibe check. When you meet people in hostels, you just go along with the plans. Most of the time it's fine, but there are those times when things aren't okay and perhaps you don't want to hang around with these people that you chose to hang around with or spend your money on this activity, or you end up getting stranded in the middle of nowhere. Trust me on this one, spontaneity is fun, but make sure you find out the finer details. This one kind of seems counterintuitive, and a lot of people will probably relate to this one. Doing nothing is productive. What I mean by that is, as a traveler, I always feel like I need to be rushing around, seeing everything, which leads me to feeling tired, burnt out, exhausted. That's a very common feeling amongst travelers. So when I say doing nothing is productive, just taking one day off a week to do absolutely nothing will help you continue traveling without suffering burnout. A travel day is not a day of rest. If you're on buses, airports, that is not a day of rest. I used to think it was, but it's really not. I think the biggest thing for me that I've implemented the last few years is just having one day a week to do nothing. That includes when I'm at home and even on the road, just laying on the beach, reading a book, not being on my phone much. It really does help. Next lesson that I've learned, my favorite part about travel is the people that I meet. And my least favorite part about travel is leaving them. I used to think that I was very introverted, but I actually think I'm more extroverted. Now, I've just been living in a hostel for 3 months, and it's really taught me that I actually don't need a lot of time to myself, you know, half a day a week, maybe a day. Other than that, I'm really happy just to be around people all the time. And I feel like it's those experiences that stay with me more. Like I'll always remember the times that I shared with people at a certain event or a certain place or activity. So a bit sad, but yeah, my favorite part about travel is meeting people, and I really don't like leaving them. Next lesson, learning a bit of the local language really does get you far. When I first started traveling, I really didn't make any effort to learn any phrases, maybe hello, goodbye. But when I went to Latin America and I started enrolling in Spanish school, and I was keeping up with this, I got so much more out of my experience in Latin America because I was actually able to communicate with locals. I was able to have more independence in the sense of I'm not relying on other people to order my food or work out how to get the bus. I can actually take a bit of charge and say, you know, whatever I need to say to the taxi driver, trying to work out where we're going. So one big lesson that I've learned is knowing a bit of the local language really does get you far. Next one is trust your gut. Our bodies are amazing at telling us when something doesn't feel right. You know, when you're with people or you're on an experience or you've agreed to a plan and you just feel a bit funny inside, trust your gut. Your body is telling you something is not right here. You need to get yourself out of this situation. And too many times in my 20s, I've ignored that because I didn't want to be fussy or I didn't want to make any problems. Screw that. You need to just trust your gut and do what your body is telling you to do. If you're entering into a situation and it doesn't feel quite right, maybe it feels like a scam, or maybe it feels like people are trying to take advantage of you, more than likely you are right. So that is one thing that I have definitely learned in my 20s through too many mistakes, is not trusting my gut enough. Each trip/travel experience is a chapter, and this has really helped me reframe how I feel about travel. Now, usually I get very attached to people, experiences, places I'm staying. I get really sad, especially if I spend a significant amount of time in those places. For instance, Mexico, I lived there for 3 months. Wellington, New Zealand, lived there for 3 months. I get very attached to people and places, and I really get sad when I leave those experiences. But one thing that's really helped me is just understanding that that is a chapter in the wider story. It's like a chapter in your book. This was the chapter that I lived in Mexico. This was the chapter that I lived in New Zealand, lived in Australia, wherever it is. And just reframing it like that has really helped me give closure to my travel experiences, because when you're in those experiences, you're there for like 24 hours a day. You're having deep, meaningful interactions with people. And it really does suck when you have to leave, especially when you say goodbye to people that you've been hanging around for 24 hours. So for me, just knowing that that's just a chapter in the book really helps me move on to the next trip. These next ones are a bit corny, but I feel like they're really important to me and to highlight to you. And the first one is anything is possible. I used to watch people on YouTube when I was a teenager, and I thought, wow, that looks like an amazing life. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be that person traveling and sharing my experiences on the internet. And I just did it. I had it in my mind and I just did it. I took charge and just like really believed in myself. And that was really difficult to begin with. But know that anything is possible. And if you want to live whatever lifestyle you want, you can do it. You just have to have courage, confidence, and a bit of delusion. For sure, like be delusional that things are going to work out right. Through all that determination, I was able to make my dreams a reality. Now I kind of have to pinch myself sometimes, because when I first started YouTube and traveling, you know, I started from zero, and now there's like 26,000 of you guys that follow me on Instagram and YouTube. and I make money from this platform, which is incredible. So I just have to remind myself, like, Dane, like 2 years ago, you were there starting from zero and now you're here. So just remember that and don't compare your day one to my day, 700 or whatever that is. And the same with any other creator or person online. Everyone starts from somewhere and you just have to start. The next one is the best stories are ones where there were no plans involved. I used to be the kind of traveler that would plan everything to an inch of its life. Now I really just have a few things in my mind that I want to do, and I just rock up to that country or city or destination and I just see what happens. And so many times I've had such amazing experiences where this is kind of hypocritical of my point that I discussed earlier about spontaneity, but just having no expectations of a scenario or destination really allows you to have a really open mind about what can happen. Thinking like this has led me onto so many unexpected adventures, and I give credits to that because when I have no expectations of a trip, I am honestly blown out of the water. And I've even been doing this with movies. So I've recently got into going to the cinema. I go like a few times a month and I won't watch the trailer and I have the best time. I have no expectations. If it turns out crap, it turns out crap, whatever. If it turns out amazing, mind is blown. But actually just having no expectations initially allows me to be open to all the experiences, good or bad. And the last lesson that I have learned is travel really is a cliche. They say you go backpacking to find yourself, and I think that is true. Travel is a beautiful space to go and lose yourself in, but also go on a journey to find yourself and lead you to different chapters in your life. For instance, I visited Australia back in 2020 on a 6-week backpacking trip. I had a really good time. I didn't love Australia. It then took a global pandemic, me living in Mexico, to somehow ping, let's go back to Australia. I'm kind of having a niggle to go and explore Australia more. And it turns out that I really absolutely love living here and the lifestyle and all the travel experiences that I've shared with you on YouTube. So it's kind of incredible to see where you can go in life through travel. And I feel like, back home, you stay in this bubble. It's a really small bubble. And if you live and work in the same town, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have friends like that and I really respect them. But you don't sort of broaden your horizons. Whereas if you go traveling, you start to broaden your horizons. You surround yourself with different cultures, different people, different languages, different food. All of these experiences combined provide you with so much personal development. I can't begin to explain how much of a different person I am because I travel. I'm more confident, but I'm also more anxious, but I'm also very open-minded. I'm very social now. I am not afraid to really get out my comfort zone. I love being challenged. I am very good at making decisions because as a traveler, you constantly put in really weird / dangerous / uncomfortable situations, and you are the only one that can make a decision. You are the only person that can get yourself out of that scenario. So yeah, those are some lessons that I've learned in my 20s. And I could probably think of a ton more, but these are the main ones that I just sort of sat there and wrote down with a cup of coffee one day. And I thought, these are things that I've learned back from like day one to now, which is day 2 of being 30. I don't feel wiser, but I feel excited for the next decade. I don't know, it's such a weird feeling. Let me know down in the comments, what have you learned from travel? I would really love to know. Or if there's any things that I've said that you don't agree with or you do agree with, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. So I'm gonna leave it there. It was a very short kind of sit down video, but I just thought I would document and share some things that I've learned in my 20s and maybe you found them useful. So make sure you hit subscribe down below and leave some comments. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on these, and I will see you guys in the next video. So until next time, take care and peace out.